welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, where we begin the Fisherman's Quest for Stormblood, finally. It's really the last Gatherer or Crafter quest I'm still missing, so... Whither Wawalago wanders. Serenia, just the woman I wanted to see. It's about the Guildmaster. He's been acting a bit, wait for it, now, fishy of late. How so, you ask? Well, first of all, he hasn't been seen chasing skirts at the wench for nearly a whole week now. What's more, word is he has been skulking in and out of the city at the strangest hours, tiptoeing around as if he's afraid to be seen. It's not like the man ever does any work around here, but he is the face of the guild. It wouldn't be good for business if he got himself caught up in anything untoward. Next time you're down at the Fisherman's Bottom, mayhap you could pay him a visit and see what's what? Hey, Wawalago. Well, bash me in the head with a bucket of barnacles, if it isn't Serenia, the second most skillful fisher in our fair realm. To what do I owe the pleasure of your presence today? Sisifu is onto me, you say. But how could that be? Is it possible that I'm not as sly, stealthy, and surreptitious as I thought? Don't answer that. Old Wawalago's adult enough to admit it when he's been apprehended in the act. Fact is, I've found a new friend who's been picking my brain for advice regarding a particularly puzzling predicament. Truth be told, I was just thinking of tramping over to the God's Rib to meet him now. I think he'd also be a gawk to make your acquaintance as well, if, of course, you wouldn't be averse to accompanying me. Well, I suppose it settled it. Just do your friend Wawalago one favor. Stop by the guild and tell Sisifu there's no cause for concern. And don't mention much more than that. Girl's got enough gnawing at her mind with guild going on, I reckon. Yeah, because that will calm her down. You telling her all is peachy. So Wawalago says he's fine, but says he can't or won't say any more than that. Forgive me if that doesn't particularly inspire me with confidence. Well, if nothing else, I suppose he'll have you around to make sure he doesn't get into anything over his head. You will keep an eye on him for me, won't you? Of course you will. Script was... where? Ah, Morabi Drybox, the lighthouse. Right? No, the lighthouse down here. Here, this... corner there. Ah, there's the last I was looking for. Now all we need to do is find... Psh, Wawalago, what is the meaning of this? Who is this strange shore walker? Sahagin? Get a grip now, Goth. This is Serenia, a fast friend and one of the most accomplished anglers in Eorzea. I reckon she'd be just the person to help me puzzle out your little predicament. This is Goth. We met fishing. Or rather, I was doing the fishing and he was more accidentally attaching his lower lip to my lure. You fish the sahagin. I can tell what you're thinking. A fisherman and a sahagin make for bizarre bedfellows. And it's true, we were tearing at each other's throats at first. But once we delved into the discussion of our love for the ocean deep, we became keenly conscious of just how much we have in common. You see, Goth here is searching for a stunningly spectacular specimen of fish, which is distressingly disappeared from the seas of Lanacea. The shooting star of the sea, that's what the Sahagin have termed it in their tongue. Goth says that seeing whole schools of them sail through the sea with their scintillating scarlet scales is a spectacle of blissful beauty. Oh, these alliterations. It is a sight all the more precious cause for their penchant for only appearing in particular seasons. Goff reckons that they are roaming species that migrates after mating season to lay their eggs and nurture their newborn. At least they were before they just packed up and puttered off to who knows where. Goff here wasn't going to take the matter declining on his realm. My clutchmates insist that it's simply the way of nature, that the fish have simply died out or found a more desirable habitat. This I cannot accept. And so I embarked on a journey. I scoured the far reaches of the realm's seas, where the shooting stars once appeared in abundance, and I found a single fishing line with an inviting lure at its tip. The next thing I knew, I was reeled in by Master Wawalago here. At first I was ready to gut him for having stolen such a beautiful creature from us, but he assured me that he had done nothing of the sort. It agonizes me to admit as such, but to tell the truth, I've never even laid my lookers on one of these shooting stars. But if they're half as handsome a sight as Gus says, it'd be a sorry shame if we swallowed this supposition of their demise without doing our due diligence. At the same time, I'm the guild master. I can't very well go gallivanting off to every far-flung frontier of a realm while Sisifu does all the dirty work. So I decided to avail myself of the aid of my most astute assistant. What would be Serenia here. Forgive me if I'm skeptical, Master Wawalago. While I know your own knowledge of the seas is second to none, I do not know this shore walker from the scales of my back. Give me one good reason why I should trust her. Do you happen to know North? He considers me a sister of a clutch. Or, in his case, a daughter of a clutch, right? I'm telling you, Serenia is a fine fisher as anyone I've ever had the pleasure of calling my protege. What's more, she's fast friend to some of your own kind, or haven't you heard? If anyone can find this fish of yours, it's her. If you would speak so highly of her, then I suppose I have no reason to object. And with that, I will return to the search. There you have it, Serenia. Ready to rove and ramble the seas of a realm in search for the slippery shooting star? 'Cause I most assuredly am. But first, I'd best make a brief and fleeting foray back to Fisherman's Bottom. Sisifu is like to get suspicious if I sneak away for much longer. Back to the guild? Back to the guild. Ah, there you are, Serenia. We can exile easy. I'm pleased to as Punch to say I slipped back via a side street and Sisifu was none not smarter. On the subject of Sisifu, I've been meaning to explain and elucidate just why I'm so worried of telling the girl the truth behind this latest little lark of ours. Don't tell the dear girl I divulged this to you, but truth be told, her village was set upon by a suitably savage group of sahagin, and she was just a little lass. I'm sure she and Goff would get on great if they got to know each other, but for the time being I'm disinclined to dredge up any disquieting memories. You understand, yes? If so, you'll be dealing with me directly from this particular duty. Firstly, I intend to do a little investigating into what this so-called shooting star is called in the common tongue. In the meantime, might I propose that you treat yourself to a soothing spot of fishing? Level 63, yeah. Way ahead of you, Wawalago. Oh, Serenia, thank goodness you. Goff's gone off again, this time to Giabania. We had a rendezvous regarding my research into the disappearance of the schools of scarlet fish when a look of realization swept across his scaly face. He dashed away, and I could scarcely ask what was the matter before he shouted one word and dove into the deep waters. Of a Velodina, that is. As you know, the Velodina river rushes rapidly through the ravines of Giabania. While not privy to the particulars of his epiphany, he appears determined to cross that dangerous divide. The region may have been emancipated from the Empire's control, but that doesn't mean that the people won't brandish their battle arms against the brash beastmen from beyond their borders. You must track him down before he gets into trouble. Young Goff's got guts, I'll give him that. And it may take more than one angler to reel him in if he gets rowdy. I've contacted our cohorts and Koffers, and they've consented to send an apt acquaintance to accompany you. We have preemptively planned a powwow at Pike Forts. Now fly for it and fetch Goff back before he finds himself in a frying pan, figuratively or otherwise. There's Goff. You would dare gainsay the judgment of a sahagin in such matters? Well, if it isn't Serenia, angler extraordinaire. How fare you these days? Anselm mentioned that you were in need of a deft hand, and as he's tangled up as usual in his struggle for succession, I took it upon myself to accompany you on this little escapade. Ah yes, the Sahagin fellow. We just made each other's acquaintance. I saw a large shadow swimming beneath the surface of a Velodina when I cast my light and found him on the other end of it. I was rather surprised to see a beastman so far from home, and what's more, one that took the bait. Primal instincts, I suppose. It would seem he got it in his head that this river is polluted with ceruleum runoff. He's been swimming to and fro for the gods knows how long, trying to find the source. Like as not, he's right about the pollution. There's no shortage of imperial structures in these parts after all. But as I've been trying to tell him, I'm all but certain it's entirely unrelated to the disappearance of his beloved shooting stars. For you see? Psh, what could this Finless know of the rivers and seas? There's only one shocker I know with authority to speak of such matters, and his name is Wawalago. Stubborn little bugger, isn't he? He won't listen to a word I say. I tried to explain to him countless times that me and my fellow fishing enthusiasts are every bit Wawalago's equal when it comes to the knowledge of waters, but to no avail. Psh, the day that the Sagi heeds the counsel of a shore walker on such matters as the day the seas dry up. Is that so? Then we just have to prove here now that we are worth our salt. To that end, I would propose a contest. As you may know, the deep Velodina carp inhabit these waters. If we can reel and free before you can spear the same number, you'll agree to our angling that our angling acumen is the equal of your own. Do we have a deal? Well, he certainly took the bait easily enough. Alright, I'm counting you, Serenium. Go catch us 3 big ones. Me? You thought I'd be doing the fishing? Perish the thought. Going up against the spearfishing of a sahagin isn't something I'd like my chances with. You're far more capable than I. Don't worry though, if I'm right, our friend is likely to resort to the same methods used in saltwater fishing, as that's all he knows. But we both know that the appropriate angling techniques differ from river to river, sea to sea. Use this to your advantage and Godspeed. Do I even have any decent bait? Not really. Okay, we have 3. As As I expected, Goff is having difficulty adapting to freshwater fishing. Even the water itself seems to be irritating his skin. Still, we mustn't underestimate him. Hurry and catch those carp. Fine work as always. You never cease to amaze with how quickly you assess the swimming patterns of your prey, even in unfamiliar waters. Let's call Goff back and settle this once and for all. Well, would you look at this? Serenia cast, hooked and reeled in 3 carps before you even set your sights on a single one. How does it feel to lose to a land dweller, Goff? I did not expect fishing in fresh waters to be so arduous. For a shore walker like you to outfish a sahagin. There are no words to express my shame. Maybe now you've realized there's some worth to what we have to say. Now, shall we return to the topic of the shooting stars? Capable fisherman you may be, but I've already found my answer. The shooting stars have disappeared because this river has been sullied, with the ceruleum spilling out into its waters. And if you would let me finish a sentence for just once, I would tell you this isn't so. Why, your prized fish aren't even native to this river. I've discovered beyond a shadow of a doubt that they hail from further to the east. You see, I came to these parts for business, as Serenia knows my true profession is to ensure that my clients' enemies sleep with the fish. In my spare time, I took a liking to reeling in those fish. Needless to say, I often have occasion to chat with the locals about their favorite fishing spots. So I ask around based on information relayed to me by Wawalago, impressing anglers from eastern lands on the whereabouts of fish resembling the shooting star's description. I was able to gather that there are indeed massive schools of bright scarlet fish measuring 6 ilms in length swimming in the waters near the Isle of Tavernier in the Near East, and so I... 6 ilms? Those are no shooting stars. The fish that my clutch so cherished dwarf even you in size, shorewalker. Let me finish for once, would you? Furthermore, in East Offord I found fish of a self-same appearance as those in Tavernier, red as blood, but this time a mere 20 ilms in length. It all makes sense now. The shooting stars in my clutch store were fully grown. They begin life in the Far East as slight hatchlings, gradually growing to gargantuan size as they journey to the west. That's what I've been trying to tell you from the start. The numbers that embark on that rite of passage have dwindled to all but nothing. It stands to reason that whatever happened in the vicinity of their spawning beds. That said, we still have a lot of ground and water to cover before we can fully ascertain just where their nursery is located. While the fishers of the East have seen fish fitting the description of the shooting stars, they were no more knowledgeable about where those fish originate from than we are. Thankfully, I've already managed to establish good rapport with the anglers in these parts. Would you be so kind as to return to La Nocia to give Master Wawalago a report at length while I ask about in search for further clues? I will be in touch as soon as I can find a lead to go on. And you there, I do hope you learned your lesson about underestimating the talents of shore walkers. Try to avoid jumping to conclusions next time we meet, won't you? Loath as I am to admit it, she's right. Forgive me for my arrogance, shore walker. You can assure Master Wawalago that you will have my ear in the future. I thank you for your aid. Okay, Wawalago, report. Oh, sounds like you and this Rainer bird battered and buried Ghost Bravado. I'd expect nothing less from one of the most promising piscators Eosi has to offer. That Rainer sounds like quite the last, and nothing gets the heart beating faster than a bonny bait caster from a basket of bream, huh? If you're keen on women and waiters. You and I both know that all real women wear waders. Although I'd not mind if she moved those modest spectacles you speak of so I could see more of her fetching face. Don't give me that grimace. Old Wawalago may be beyond his courting years, but like any Lemnisan wine, my appeal is only augmented with age. Anyway, so you say our lovely lady will drop us a line by link pearl when she has a lead for us? Superb. I'll practice my powers of passionate persuasion in the meantime. Why don't you own your casting hand at one of your favorite fishing holes in the meantime? In testing new waters as a fisher, you learned Mooch 2. When I understand Mooch 2 correctly, you can mooch with any fish, even if they're not high quality, for GP cost. Which is cool. So anyway, I have auspicious news. Auspicious indeed, for the ravaging, or so I reckon Rainer has ascertained, the sites of a shooting star spawning beds. Just as short, after they hatch, the red rovers ride the raging currents of a ruby sea that rush from east to west. So it is that they eventually emerge on the edge of Lanacea. Of course, the moment I mentioned this mode of information to Goff, he marched right to this coast, saying he had a mission to make for the ruby sea. While I appreciate his ardor, I do hope he doesn't intend to swim all the way there. After all, it takes schools of shooting stars twice his size quite some time to span that distance, and they have a current to carry them along. Meanwhile, Raina herself did the sensible thing by setting out on a sailing vessel. How I yearn to travel to exotic locales yonder with you, like you two young ones. But any sudden sabbatical would be striking suspicious, especially to the ever-skeptical Sisifu. Anyway, Raina sails the seas even as we speak. You want to seek her out in the port town of Kagane. Oh, and do relate to her my most recognizable of regards. A rousing wink of a right eye should suffice. Kugane. There you are. Even for a veteran fisherwoman who prides herself on her patience, that felt like an eternity. What took you so long? Then again, I suppose we'll be waiting even longer for Goff. I heard he's taken upon himself to swim all the way here. Although I can say I'm all that surprised. Anyhow, to business. I was able to determine what the locals call the fish that best match the description of a sahagin shooting star. The most likely candidate is known as the Harutsuge? I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Unfortunately, all the fishermen I spoke to insist that they haven't seen them near the shores of late. But don't worry, as I have a plan. If we have exhausted our options on the surface, why not turn to others more in tune with developments in the deep? I speak, of course, of a Kojin, a tribe of aquatic beastmen not unlike our friend Goff, though hopefully more agreeable. If anyone can enlighten us about life under the Ruby Sea, I dare say it's them. What say we venture out to their port in Tamamizu and see what they can tell us? Ah, Goff is here. A talking turtle? What madness is this? Huh? A talking fish, and a rather large one at that. What will I think of next? The talking fish is a friend of yours, perchance? What brings him here, and you for that matter? You come in search of fish with shimmering red scarlet scales that spawn in these waters and travel to the western seas. Yes, such rich rare ones plentiful here, but I fear we have not seen them of late. They have disappeared from the Ruby Sea as well? When we have come all this way for nothing. You're a picky one. Surely you are aware there are other fish in the sea, and far tastier ones as that. I would be happy to show you how to catch some of our most delightful delicacies. The shooting stars are not for eating, they are for watching. Or have you never taken time to admire the seas in all their beauty? You are an interesting one indeed. I've never thought to appreciate the beauty of my meals, but perhaps there's something to what you say. I will do what I can to help you find these shooting stars of yours, but know that fish you seek grow fewer and fewer in number by the day. The massive schools once seen swimming in droves in the open waters are no more. If any remain, you are like to find them in the waters near Shoal Rock. Truly, the shooting stars still remain. You heard the turtle man, my friends. We must swim to this Shoal Rock without delay. Eager as ever, is he? While I admire his enthusiasm, I would form a more solid plan of action before we go rushing off. Care to join me at the Isle of Becco, Serenia? As you might have expected, Goff has already plunged himself into the depths below. It might be a while before he comes back. Sahagin seemed to forget the passage of time down there. But where was I? Ah yes, there's one small favor I would ask of you before we go in search of this Harutsuge. Remember, our mission is not only to find out whether they still exist, but also to learn the cause of their dwindling numbers and determine whether the damage is reversible. As such, I'd like you to catch me 3 of the immature shooting stars, Hatsuruga sprags if you will, that inhabit these waters. And do be careful when you unhook them, they need to be in pristine condition for observation. Will you do that for me? In the meantime, I hunt down a proper vessel to give our catches enough room to swim around. I'd rather not face Goff's wrath if they go belly up before he returns. Still think I will need new bait. I remembered the coach told us they are here at Shoal Rock, so... First patience, then we go fishing because we need high quality. Finally. That took a while. There's the reason why I'm not really thrilled with fishing in this game. Namely, it's terribly annoying when you fish for something in particular. In discussing them, for that type of herring, but I suppose they're most recognizable by their striking color. Were you able to find some? Incredibly, why even at this size, they're truly breathtaking to behold. Are they not? Confining them to a bucket feels like a crime. At any rate, let us wait for our finned friend to return. They are far smaller than the ones I remember, but there can be no doubt about it. These are indeed shooting stars. It eases my heart to know they still swim among us. Serenia, Reina, words cannot suffice to express my gratitude. Searching for so long in waters familiar and foreign, all to no avail. For Serenia here to find them in such a short span of time, it is clear knowledge of and passion for the sea are without compare. Always happy to be of service, and now, Goff, I would take them to a proper expert who have them classified and examined. Why not? I will take good care of them. You have my word. You have more than proven yourself. I will leave it in your capable hands. In the meantime, I will return to that talking turtle and share the knowledge of what we found. Perhaps he can enlighten us further. Nah, I lost the voice for him. I'll exercise the utmost of care in delivering the Harutsuge to an ensemble in Ishgard. We must ascertain their precise physiology and whether or not they suffer from some sort of illness. In the meantime, I would appreciate if you could tell Guildmaster Wawalago we will contact him as soon as our observation turns up fruit. Isn't this exciting, Serenia? I can scarcely wait to see where this leads us next. Yep, and all the back to Limsa. All the way back. We found the little fishies. And we're analyzing them. Fantastic, friend. You found the ever-elusive fish. Now begins the tall task of finding a way to ward off their waning numbers and see them flower and flourish once more. And that's why I say we. There's little I can do to lighten the load. Not since Sisifu is watching me so warily, at least. Why, woeful Wawalago can't even partake in a proper pint without a protest. Must just peel away to whisk our plans on this little link pearl. I suppose there's naught to do but bide my time and mind my own business, until Raina regards us with her latest report. Double hook. Tip-top timing, Serenia. Raina nailed me a missive saying she's wrapped up her research into the shooting stars and is ready to report the results she's reaped. Finally clued to help us crack this confounding case. There's no time to tarry. Get yourself to the God's grip. Why, I think I'll even steal away from Sisifu's spying eyes and scoot on over there with you. Let me guess, she catches us. Oh, that's Serenia. The ravaging Raina should be arriving any moment now to regale us with our report. 1,000 pardons, Master Wawalago, but I fear there has been a change of plans. My fellow fishing enthusiast has made for Kogane, and I'm here to deliver our findings in her stead. Ansom! I thought you'd be busy keeping that barbarous brother of yours from running roughshod over the disconsolate denizens of your Demesna. Indeed, I cannot stay for long, so allow me to share with you what we found, which I fear is not as much as we hoped. We studied the wrecks the Rainier caught in hopes of finding some clue as to what afflicts them, but we could identify nothing out of the ordinary, nor was there any sign that aught is amiss in the waters they inhabit. Well, that's a right relief, yet baffling and bewildering all the same. If all's well in the waters of the Ruby Sea, whither could the shooting stars have shuttled off to? The other day I had occasion to speak with an angler acquaintance from Razatan. As he told it, he's not seen any dozens of the deep matching the Haratsuge's description his domain either. Which means that whatever it is ails and afflicts them, it is all but certain to be centered around their spawning ground, striking them when they've scarcely hatched and winnowing their numbers before they can navigate their way westward. A remarkable deduction from one who has scarce left Fisherman's Bottom of late, if I've heard true. If only you could travel to the Ruby Sea and investigate for yourself. There's no telling what you might glean. Would that I could whisk away just like that, but no. If I don't bolt back on my barrel and briskly, and Sisifu comes to know I've been cooperating with sahagin, there's no telling how I'll torture and torment the poor girl. Personally, I think he should come clean, but he's really the expert we might need. means more to me than you could measure, Serenia. I'd nothing more than to join you on your journey, and yet... Wawalago, you stubborn silver-soft slack with stupid head! For all your wanted knowledge of fish in the seas, you don't know a goddamn thing about your closest colleague and confidant. The last thing I want to see is you acting all weaselly and wishy-washy. Sisifu, how in the heavens did you... I followed you, silly. And how did you really think you'd been evading my eyes and ears all this time? And of all the reasons for your ridiculous behavior, this is truly beyond belief. Yes, my home was raided by sahagin when I was a child, that's true. But what sort of ignorant fool do you take me for? I know as well as anyone that there are kindly sahagin in the realm who care only for protecting their clutch. Why would I begrudge you lending one of them your aid? If you want to take a leave of absence, all you need to do was ask. It's not like you do any work around the guild anyway. Sisifu, to think I could be so thick-witted and taking in the thoughts of a lovely lass. And with that, Serenia, I do say it's time to set sail for Kugane. You'll be heartened to hear that I spent a spell in the Far East in my younger years. I'll be on my way in short order. In the meantime, might I ask you a minor favor? Head over to Ingashi ahead of me and engage with local denizens in discourse. See if there's aught you can learn of any anomalies in the Ruby Seas compared to times past. Now that you mention it, Reina spoke of a fishing village that once had dealings with a Kojin. I believe the village was called Isari? I can make no promises, but it may be as good a place as any to begin your search. Isari it is then. Investigate the village and inquire with its inhabitants. And I see you in Kugane when you are through with your task. Good to see those two come to an understanding, is it not? In any event, I must return and see that my brother has not done too much damage in my absence. Safe travels, and may your journey to the Far East be a fruitful one. Good to see you again, Anselm. And to Isari, Okay, people of Isari, I helped you in between. When I was just a little girl, my father would invite his Kojin friends to dine with us. We bring all manner of strange-looking fish from the depths. At first I was hesitant to taste them, but I soon found out they were quite delicious. But I was only a small girl then, and my memories are hazy at best. Perhaps one of the older villagers might be able to tell you more? I hear that in the old days, Isari fishermen would venture out into the open seas in hopes of hooking all manner of marvelous catches. Nowadays there's little point in venturing far beyond the coastal shallows, where the vast majority of fish reside. Now that you mention it, I also recall hearing tales from my father of a festival held in years past, where we would welcome outsiders to Isari in a celebration of the art of fishing. Of the details I fear I remember little. Here? No. Down here. Indeed, there was a time when our village had regular dealings with the Kojin, though there was much less grey in my hair when it was so. Yes, I dare say some 25 years have passed since then. In those days, Isari was known for the Wadatsumi festival, a grand event held once each year. Isari fishers and Kojin alike would join together to ensnare the giant plesiosaurs that disturbed the waters and offer them in tribute to the kami of the sea, that calm might return to the oceans. Then the Gallians came and traditional religious observances were abolished. The Wadatsumi festival now a thing of the past. Our once close bonds of friendship with the Kojin faded over the years. The Kojin particularly enjoyed a certain fish found only in the glittering basin of Yangsha, the Dafangshi, if my memory serves. It was a regular offering of this delicacy that convinced them to join us in our festivities. But that was a long time ago, and all our village has become much more insular since then. These days there's scarce anyone in Isari who remembers what a the function looks like, let alone how to snare one. So it is likely that this festival actually reduced the number of predatory fish. That is what. And now that they stopped, the predators could just spread uncontrolled and eat all the little fishies. Wawalago. Hey, Rainer. So this is Master Wawalago. From the deep and manly tone of his voice over the link pearl, I was expecting someone taller. Ah, to smell the soothing sea breeze with the buxom beauty at my side. This is the life, isn't it, Serenia? Oh, but I forgot myself. Did you find out anything of our fish in your foray to Isari? A fishing festival that featured the feeding of giant plesiosaurs to the deities of the deep, you say? Give Wawalago a moment to mull that one over. But of course, it's not a sullying of the seawaters that's responsible for Shooting Star's plight, but rather the proliferation of a predator who preys upon them. Allow me to explain and elucidate. I have some passing familiarity with this plesiosaur of which the man spoke. More fiend than fish, suffice it to say, feasts on smaller fry with utterly fearsome ferocity. When the festival was in full swing, Isari fishermen and their cogent friends hunted the hunters, as it were, leaving smaller swimmers of all stripes. The Harutsuge, for one, to persist and prosper. Now that it's fallen out of fashion, the plesiosaurs rampage and run rampant, devouring the fletching fish in the sea before they can reach full maturity. All we need to do is restore and revive this tradition, and the situation is as good as solved. But from what Serenia says, it would require the cooperation of a Kojin. How are we to get them to agree if not a single angler in Isari able to catch with the fungi that they so favor? Trifling task, lovely lass. If Isari are incapable of doing the deed, we need simply ensnare the fungi or two ourselves. Surely this is well within the powers of pearson piscators like ourselves, is it not? Wayne and I will go and grab young Goff, and we will gather again in Yangsha. Namai. Ready to get fishing, friend? Remember, a couple of these Dafangshi are all we need to bring the festival back in fashion and see the Hatsuruge flourish. But there's one thing that worries old Wawalago. The old fisherman said there wasn't angler in all of Isari who knew aught of how to catch one of them. That got me to thinking. Perhaps a simple line and lure won't suffice to snare one of the specimens we seek, so I was listening to the locals who shared some intriguing information in response to my inquiries. The Dafangshi are said to result in the glittering basin, but it seems they're ever a cautious and chary creature, and fewer are the fellows who have actually laid eyes on the fish. So I thought of the guidance of a grizzled old angler who said that he was hunting for an ichthyosaur near the sunken junk when he espied a Dafangshi in the distant depths. If you're scared of swimming near the surface, deep diving and trying your hand with a trident like our friend Goff might afford you an advantage. In any event, it seems searching near the sunken junk might be a place to start. In that, I'd best get off to the glittering basin as well. Godspeed and good luck in wheeling in those Dafangshi. Look forward to greeting you when you've triumphed in the task. Okay, now we go spearfishing. Okay. Yeah, we won't be swimming shadows. For that we need to catch ichthyosaurs in this area here in the southwest of Yangsha. shape. We need to catch one more. Here, at the boat, at the ferry docks is a sunken boat, and around that sunken boat are the harvesting spots we need. It's just so. Not enough. Boah. Come on. As you can see, I have done this already, but I failed to catch 3 Dafangshi in high quality. Nah. Okay, now with the Ichthyosaurs we have unlocked the Swimming Shadow. Swimming Shadow. Nope. That was not a high quality fish. That was the wrong type of fish. Where's our Dafangshi? Ugh, this was work. Finish the fishing spot and then we return to Wawalago. Hey Raina, how's it going? Oh Sylvania, I'm sad to say I haven't gotten a single bite yet. Do you suppose it's my lure or my bait? From the gleam in his eyes and the grip on his trident, I get that Golf's got a good thing going here. How fare you on your fishing efforts? Of course I got a 4th one without trying then. Fine fishing, Serena, yes. These are the Dafangshi, beyond a dram of a doubt. Beyond a dram of a doubt. They make themselves manifest while you are engaging your eyes on other fish, you say? Curious comportment indeed. Anyway, I'm relieved to report that Goff's spearfishing has also proved a spectacular success. With this, we should have enough to reel in the Kojin, figuratively speaking, and entice them to engage with the Isari and you. So let's carry our catch back to Isari and convince the villagers to let us carry on with the plan we've contrived. He is hoping they're just as delighted with this development as we are. If I might trouble you with a trifling task, Serenia, I'd ask you to go alone. After all, Isari's only just been freed from the fetters of the Empire, and its residents are surely only still acclimating themselves to the arrival of outsiders. For my part, I stay behind and see if I can spear myself a few more Dafangshi for our Kojin friends. Well, we have ourselves quite a haul already, the more the merrier. Why don't you wander back to Isari and share our catch with that Jisho chap? You can journey to and join us in Tamamizu when you're through. And now to Asari. Oh Gott, Arsch der Welt. Okay, hey Jisho, can I convince you to start this festival again? I would like nothing more than to revive the Wadatsumi festival, but the Kojin will never entertain our plea. Not without an offering of the Fangshi at least. Why these are the Fangshi? You went all the way to Yangsha to catch wheat for us? I have no words, friend. You are far too kind, and a far more worthy fisherman than I. To think that I would live to see the day when Isari emerged from the shadow of the Empire to reclaim the glory of our past. I will round up the young ones. We must begin preparations for the festivities at once. In the meantime, pray deliver the Fangshi to the Kojin in my stead. And with my fondest regards, this should go far toward reforging the bonds of friendship that our peoples once shared. Goss managed to spear a healthy haul of the Fangshi for us. There's no way the Kojin will refuse such generosity. Welcome back, friend. Goff says you come bearing a gift from the village of Isari. Dare hope that it is what I think it may be. Why, I've not seen a haul of the Fangshi like this in I know not how many years. It would be my honor to join you in reviving the festivities of old. There is, however, but one rub. I'm ashamed to admit this, but I'm somewhat younger than my appearance might suggest, and my knowledge of a Wadatsumi is limited at best. All I ask is time. Time to seek the wisdom of my elders and bring my brothers and sisters around to your cause. Worry not, there are many here in Tamamizu with fond memories of the olden days. If there's anything I can do to help, you need only speak the word. I will do anything to see the shooting stars. The Haratsuge return to the seas as soon as possible. I too will do all I'm able to see that this festival is a smashing success. First things first, I head back to the guild and gather all the knowledge I can glean. Yes, I dare say that right on my desk sits a comprehensible compendium on fishing festivals from Eorzea to the Far East. There's bound to be something illuminating within. Wawalago? Studying? Well, then for my part I head back home and see if Asaun has anything enlightening to share. Besides, he'd never forgive me if he found out we were having so much fun without him. So why don't you head back home with Master Wawalago? And Goff, you seem to be in good terms with the Kojin. Why not help recruit more of them to the cause? Till we meet again, my friends. Grown close to the Kojin here. I will do what I can to persuade them of the worthiness of our cause. Back so briskly, are you? I'm happy to have your help, of course, but I dare say you're more than deserving of some rest and relaxation after your toils and travails. What say you practice your piscatorial skills while I pry further into the particulars of this Wadatsumi festival? After all, when the time comes, you want to be ready to fish, and fish as you have never fished before. In testing new waters as a fisher, you learned bountiful catch. Oh, Serenia, how are you holding up? For my part, I'm happy to say that I've housed in my head a wide wealth of wisdom regarding this Wadatsumi festival. Are you ready to fish as if the future depends on it? Because if it's the future of Hawatsuga we're discussing, I dare say it most definitely does. And with Sisifu being sympathetic for once and sanctioning my sabbatical, there's nothing stopping me from joining East to join the festivities. Now, if you pardon me, I do believe there's a certain loveliness awaiting our arrival in Kugane. Hey, Ansom. The greatest fishing festival in the Far East. Let my brother do his worst. I wouldn't have missed this for a world. We've been waiting for you, friend. Master Wawalago's already gone ahead to Isari. He couldn't quite contain his excitement. And just look what we've here. And Soms joined us as well. Even with his terrible brother wreaking havoc back in the Holy See, he said he couldn't bear to miss it. Truly, the man's ardor for angling knows no bounds. Not that I'm one to talk, of course. Anyhow, we'd best not keep the guild master waiting any longer. Shall we be off to Isari then? I assume we are all accounted for? Excellent. It's time we got the gaieties off the ground, as it were. Obviously, I'll be overseeing the operation. Our prize and prey is a giant plesiosaur, a massive monstrosity of a fish as fierce and ferocious as any you'll find. Go after one without a precise plan of attack and you'll like as not get swallowed and spit out a skeleton. So it is that the fishermen of Isari traditionally enlisted the trusty talent of a Kojin and a testament to the power of teamwork. Here's how it will happen. The Kojin will pursue the prey underwater, pressing them ever closer to the water's crest. From there, us landlubbers will lower our lures and hook them, hauling them to shore in one swift swoop. The consummate celebration of cooperation and camaraderie between beastmen and beach dwellers. This is the true essence of this time-honored tradition. Goth, Ukimono, join the Kojin beneath the billowing waves. When I give a signal, swim after the plesiosaurs and push them in close proximity to Onokoro. My friends and fellow fishers, when the stragglers stray near the surface, lower your lures and reel them in with reckless abandon. A moment, Serenia, if you don't mightily mind. Speaking with all sincerity, I'm skeptic that even the most accomplished among us will be able to angle in even one of those primordial piscine predators. With the extraordinary exception of you, that is. Yes, if any of us has the aptitude and acumen to face this fearsome foe in the eye and emerge exultant, it is you. I'm counting you to prove the Wawalago prescient and procure a healthy haul of those plesiosaurs. This will test your talent as a fisher as nothing before. Step forth and may the sea smile on you. I was looking up what kind of bait I need, because fishing in this game is guide dang it here. At least in the realm reborn, they have the decency to tell you what you need. Only care about the triple exclamation marks. Okay, there it is. Come, fishy, 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 fishy. It took a while. In between I ran out of bait, and then also I decided when I'm already going, might as well get the Level 70 item for script. Wawalago. I bring you some huge fish. The survival of a shooting star depends on your success. How far be the most formidable fishing challenge you face? Fabulous fishing, friend. But good gods, the tale said it true. These things are more fiend than fish. But you have felt 5 of them nonetheless. Now there's a hearty hole, if I ever eyed one. I dare say there's no doubt the deities of the deep are duly delighted with our deeds. Swimming through the seas with reckless abandon. I've had not so much fun at a festival in years. I have but one question. When is the next one? That's the spirit, my sharp friend, but repeating the ritual on a regular basis... we can protect the seas from the over-proliferation of predators and see that smaller fish like that Arutsuge have a halcyon habitat to call home. Well, that pleases me as much as any that the festival was a success and peace returns to the sea. I fear I see no sign of a shooting stars. Forgive me, Master Wawalago, but I would face the truth with my own eyes. I see the sahagin's lad is as serious as ever. Why don't we dive into the depths with him, Serenia? Regardless of what he sees, I reckon he'd appreciate if you accompanied him. It's no use. Even down in the depths, they're nowhere to be seen. Were we too late? Were all our best efforts all for naught? There's one. There are a few more. Behold, Serenia, they've come, the shooting stars. They are still young. Yes, only hatchlings, but look at the sheer numbers of them. Yes, they will grow large and strong. Soon the seas will shine bright once more. I would not have expected that to go so quickly. When the population was thinned out as it was. The shooting stars have survived in the numbers beyond my wildest dreams. With the ranks of their predator's cult, they are free to make the journey across the Ruby Sea. And yet in time, the plesiosaurs will return if the shooting stars will once again be threatened with extinction. There must be something we can do. Fear not, my fretful fellow. We need only see to it that the festival is held frequently enough to keep the population of plesiosaurs carefully in check, as it was before the Guardians barged in and bungled everything up. I, for one, would be honored to partake in the festivities any time, both to reaffirm the bonds we share with our Isari friends and to ensure the survival of the Arutsuge, whose beauty I have now witnessed with my own eyes. You have my thanks, friend. You need only say the word and I and my fellow sahagin will swim here to join you. I may not possess your spearfishing skills, Serenia, but my passion to protect the shooting stars is second to none. I will do everything in my power to see that the legacy you have helped to create lives on. Man and beast been united by an undying devotion to the denizens of the depth. Is that water in my eye, or am I welling up? In any event, we've effected a change on the oceans today, a change that will in turn come to have consequences for generations to come. But that's a story best not told sober. What say we send for some spirits and sample some of this sashimi that the East is so famed for? I fear you're going to be facing more immediate consequences for your actions today, Wawalago. Sisifu, I'm well aware how you worry for me, but you didn't have to say it straight across. Why the frightful frown on that fetching face of yours? Do you not remember my words the other day, Wawalago? I thought I made myself quite clear. I said if you wanted to take a leave of absence to join your friends on some adventure, all you had to do was say the word. When I hear nothing from you for days, and when I went to your usual perch in Fisherman's Bottom, do you have any idea how worried I was for you? Pardon? I swear that I said... Or could it be that I was so absorbed with anticipation that I was remiss in apprising you of my intent to embark on this adventure? But Sisifu, my sweet, wasn't it you who always told me never to neglect one in need? Till next time, Serenia. Get back here, I say, you good for nothing! Ah! Okay, that took a while. In testing new waters as a fisher, you have learned enhanced GP regeneration. That took a long while. Yeah, I've recorded this all of Stormblood Fisherman in one go, and my clock is currently on 2 hours, but there's a lot of things where I just stopped the recording and continue until I was well, further on. Let's see how much remains of that, but yeah, until next time, I am Ace, and don't get lost.